ready, everybody. He's about to do something stupid.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, gentlemen, but you seem to have me confused with a character in a fictional show. Now, if you'll excuse me, my fondue is just about...
Alright, welcome everyone to the Dark Life Poolcast. I'll do something about that D one day. We misspelled it. Anyway, we had some mistakes, but I think we're all good now. I think we're all good, so...
we're all good.
We kind of slightly have to kind of speed things up just simply because Dark has appointment with some RP, so we got to get through this.
Right. Speed things up as in keep it to sort of what we... keep it to, you know, not over 2 hours like we tend to do.
We always go over 2 hours, so 2.5, that would be definitely the limit. Anyway, I guess right into games and updates, that sort of thing. The only thing gaming-wise I've heard, I mean, it was kind of the biggest news. What was it? Like $7.5 billion. Microsoft bought out like a whole bunch of studios from freaking Bethesda and all that stuff.
Yeah, bought Bethesda, yeah.
Yeah, so I heard about that, and it was like, you know, that was, I mean, kind of big news, so...
yeah.
Yeah, like, what was it? Evil Within, Doom, Prey, Fallout, Elder Scrolls... I think even their new game that they were promoting, Starfield, I think was even...
Yeah, that's included, yep.
So... yeah, a whole bunch of stuff going over to Microsoft. Hopefully, hopefully the games are still going to be good, if anyone's still interested in that, so...
Yeah, well, they'll have more resources being under Microsoft than what they were before. Also, I know you love New Vegas, but, like, now that Microsoft has purchased Bethesda and that, now they can, now the group that did Fallout New Vegas is back in, you know, a place where they can make Fallout licenses. So, New Vegas 2, maybe?
That would be great. I heard kind of like the unofficial New Vegas 2 is, I think it's Outer Wilds, I think is what it is. So it's supposed to be made by Obsidian, who did Fallout New Vegas and all that stuff. So yeah, kind of interesting. So I mean, in terms of news, that's like the only thing that I've heard since the last podcast. I don't know if anything different on your end.
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Other than, I guess, stuff with the Xbox and PS, but I haven't paid any attention to that, so.
Yeah, same. I'm just all over to PC. I did hear that some of the new graphics cards for Nvidia actually got like a major boost and like everyone wants them. And I looked at the specs of some of those. They're actually moving over to gigahertz now instead of megahertz. So that's a huge improvement. I think the video size even increased double. So that's something. Apparently it was supposed to like be able to support like 8K quality or something like that. So it's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
So yeah, video. That was the only other thing. I actually just now remember that the video cards was a big thing. Specifically, it's the RTX 3000 series, whatever that one is. Yeah. So I mean, huge improvements in that regard. But yeah. So I guess Dark, RP or Squadrons first.
Well, I can talk briefly about RP.
Okay.
So I guess the major things that have happened, there's one major storyline, one of my friends now developing where there probably is going to be a huge conflict between my friend group and this other, I guess, Crim group, I think it is. Because they're messing with our one friend and they're trying to get to him, so it's a lot of, even I'm not like fully, because it just got all thrown on me all in one night within like a couple hours, and I'm just like, this is a lot of information to take in all at once. I don't know what the fuck to do with this. But yeah, shit might be going down, and I'm unsure of where Ryan is going to fall into that. Because of like, as much as Brian's very much like, always help friends and that stuff, but with Moxie being pregnant, he's not entirely sure he wants to put her at risk by getting involved, because if anyone knew how to get to Ryan, it would be through Moxie, guaranteed. So it's, right now I'm trying to help without getting fully involved, but being fully aware that if things blow over into like full on, I guess, quote unquote war, no one's going to be safe. And it's going to be a big mess if things devolve into that. So potentially huge RP conflict. That's going to be. Oh, well, we'll see. We will see. It's been building up for the past week and a half, but in the past couple days, it seems to have escalated to there's going to be conflict. So we'll see how that goes. Aside from that, I've joined. Ryan has now joined Silver Security, which is a new security group. They are the successors to Ford & Sons, who were the security group that ran the security at the races and also did other stuff, but that's most notably what they did, at least in far as I know, both me and Ryan. So we're currently probationary agents, officers with them. We did training Tuesday night. We did training. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I was like, we just did basic training. At some point, we'll do more advanced training because we need to learn de-escalation and I'm not sure what else. Maybe more advanced kind of scenarios, like actual like RP inside RP, like role-played scenarios for like potential security things that'll happen inside a roleplay server. Oh, it's so meta in the not you're gonna get banned for it way. But yeah, I'm on like probation till this October 7th, and I'm doing my first job with them tonight at the horse races. So that's kind of why we need to keep this to contained and not like overflowing like it tends to get with this podcast. But trying to think, that's all I can think of for a brief, quick. This is kind of what's some of the main things going on in RP right now. It's just there's so much that happens, I can't even keep track of all of it. Yeah, that's all I have to say on RP.
All right. Want to talk about Squadrons or?
Yeah, I can talk about Squadrons.
All right.
So Star Wars Squadrons came out yesterday, and I played the shit out of it. I have like, God, what? I already have 14 hours in it. At least most of that's the campaign, but a good chunk of that's multiplayer as well. So Star Wars Squadrons, it's a Star Wars game. It's a flight sim game, all first person. You fly as either part of the New Republic or the Galactic Empire, and you just there's two multiplayer modes, which is like there's dogfight mode where it's just a 5v5. First 30 kills wins. And then there is Fleet Battle, where it's 5v5 plus AI fighters, and you have to kill enemy. The ultimate objective is to destroy the enemy capital ship. And it's sort of a tug of war system, because based on like getting like AI kills, ship kill, like capital ship kills or player kills will increase the morale for one side, and once you one side fills up the morale bar, it then pushes to either the one side will be like the attacking team and the other side will be defending. So it's kind of like you build up morale, like you're on the defense, you want to kill as many of the enemy as possible to sort of push morale back to your side so that you push the enemy team back on the defensive. So it pushes them away from your ships, and then you can attack theirs. So it's I'm not going to do justice explaining it, but it's kind of a little it's easy to pick up, but a little complicated to just sort of explain it without any like visuals or anything like that. But multiplayer, super fun. So far, I haven't had anyone in the voice chat surprisingly be extra annoying. I mean, there's always annoying people in voice chats, but so far, no one like super crazy annoying, which is surprising. But I was playing with Lucky last night, and his friend Astro, and then my friend from RP, Eli. We formed up a squad of 4, and we were doing dogfights and capital ship battles and that. It was super fun. Especially we were all in a Discord call talking to each other, and there were many times where where we call out like we got a fighter on our tail, and like one the person who's being chased would try and survive for as long as possible while one of us managed to find them and then get behind the person tailing them and shoot them down. Those were always very satisfying moments. Though there were a lot of moments where that happened and then the enemy fighter shot down the person before you could kill him, which is like, oh, I saved you. Oh, wait, you're dead. Just like you blow apart the enemy fighter and it's like, I saved you. And then you see your buddy's fighter just spinning out and then explode. And it's like, oh, well, shit. Too late. But it plays great, and it really does encourage like team play in that, because if you're really skilled, like you get a lot of the mechanics down, which I'm still trying to get some of the more advanced mechanics down, you can deal with a lot of things yourself, but a lot of times you're gonna need that you're gonna need a wingman to provide, like, to get that fighter off your back, or to help escort you as you both do like a strafing run of an enemy capital ship or something like that. It's the mechanics are super tight. I'm not a big fan of how the mouse and keyboard controls work, so I use controller. Other than that, controls are good. And just the mechanics, it's really evident when you're playing it that it's skill based, because you can feel when you're not like, I don't know how to explain it, but like you can sort of feel like you're not doing something as well as you could be doing it. Like you could take that turn a lot better, or you could have done this and that. You kind of can feel when you're not using your starfighter to its full potential. And sometimes that's situational. Sometimes you just needed to let off on the thrust a little bit more, so you could take that turn just at the right angle and like get the drop on someone. It's just the mechanics and the play style and stuff is just phenomenal. The game has blown my expectations out of the water. And Lucky also was very, very impressed with it too. And actually everyone who we were playing with was all like, man, this game's fucking awesome. And it's super fun to like play with friends and, you know, do the sort of squad mentality of sort of these dogfight scenarios, and that it sort of coordinates. And like there's so many times like me and Lucky had a really great thing going in one of the games where we were on the offensive on the enemy capital ship, and I was in a bomber and he was in the support craft, and I put my engines full speed, boost right across the bow of the ship, drop my entire payload, and then Lucky would shoot me a resupply and heal me up and then refill my bombs, and then I just keep doing that. I dealt like, God, that game I dealt 51,000 damage to enemy capital ships, which the next highest person dealt 26,000. So I wreck shop that game, especially because I customized my bomber to do that. And like every fighter there's so many different components in that, and you can just there's so many ways. There's no best way, which is great. There's no best way to upgrade your starfighter. There's pros and cons to every non-default add-on you put to your fighter. So you might be more agile and maneuverable and faster, but you have less shields or health, or you have more shields and health, but you have less maneuverability and stuff. And it's a lot of trade-offs for more benefits in certain areas. which I've done a lot of my, especially on my, some of my fighters. I think my TIE fighter, I use the one hull, which makes you more agile, but makes you more fragile as well. Like, and just to sort of capitalize on like speed and maneuverability. It's like I take a little bit of hit to my overall like hit points for being able to be faster and be able to get the drop on people better. And of course, you can do the exact opposite. You can just make yourself tanky and stuff like that, but you fly like a brick, which that brick better have a teammate with them, or else they're going to get shot the fuck down. But yeah, like the multiplayer in that is super fun, and I'm looking forward to playing even more of that. I'll probably be playing more of that tomorrow. I'm just trying to keep on this rolling train. Story. It was good. I mean, it's a self-contained narrative, but most Star Wars games are. There's like not a lot, rarely any Star Wars games that ever have anything more than just a self-contained narrative, because, well, like, it's a video game. There's only so much you can do with it. like playing nothing but Star Wars. Yeah. Did that, there's no outside world. Did that, apparently there was a patch today, Lucky, that fixed stuff in VR. Did that help you at all? Because I know you were having problems with VR. Also, how are you loving it in VR? Since we're on the topic of Squadrons and you were playing it in VR, how was that? But yeah, campaign's been fun. Oh, he hasn't played in VR today. Darn. I mean, yeah, the story was good. I liked your co-pilots. Like, you could take time to talk to your co-pilots in between missions and that, which extends the runtime of the game, but I didn't mind because I actually enjoyed all the interactions with your wingmates and that. They all were interesting, had personalities that really matched sort of who they were and sort of the faction. Like the rebel ones were very, well, I guess more normal, maybe? I don't know. The Imperials felt like Imperials, and the Rebels felt like Rebels. Well, I guess Rebels / New Republic, because semantics. Which even in game, it's like, yeah, Rebels, New Republic. Does it really matter? I mean, aren't we the same? But yes, story. I was telling Lucky, Liv, probably both. The story is long as hell. Like, on normal difficulty, without like taking the time to like interact, like do all the extra stuff, like talk to your squad mates, it's like a 7-hour game. There's 16 missions. You alternate between, I thought it would be every other mission that it would switch you between rebels and imps, but I like that it's in chunks. It's like in chunks of a couple missions where you'll play, I think it's in chunks of 3 or 2 or 3, where it's like you play 3 missions in a row as the New Republic, then you'll play 3 missions the Empire, and then switch back to the New Republic, switch back to the Empire. And I like that, where it was very much, that works a lot better than like switching every other time, because I can imagine that would get a little whiplashy, like having to switch back and forth between 2 very different both factions and also like different fighters, which fly and operate differently than each other, because all the TIE fighters are very fast, maneuverable, but have 0 shields, while the Republic fighters are, They're decent with speed maneuverability, but they have that shield component to them as well. VR is incredible. When it doesn't bug the FPS, it's super immersive and a must-have for any VR owner. There you have it. Squadrons VR, endorsed by Lucky Charms. Buy yours today. Promo code DLP. That's not a thing. Don't type that in. You won't get anything if you type a promo code DLP. But if you do, and somehow it does work, well, I don't know, because it's not us. But yeah, I've been blown out of the water with Squadrons. It's been fantastic, and I look forward to many more hours in the cockpit.
I guess I'll talk about Mafia 1 Definitive and also a little bit about Mafia 1 Original. I originally planned on just playing Mafia 1 Definitive. By the way, I probably would have showed footage of Dark enjoying his time in Squadrons, but I figured it'll probably take me a moment to do it. Sometimes his internet connection isn't the best, so I figured, well, I don't want him roboting on me, so I decided to pass. But I would have had it in mind. Anyway, also I would have thrown up something for Mafia 1 as well. So I originally had it planned. I was going to be playing Definitive, and I scheduled like a 5-day kind of event, essentially. Like, I was going to be streaming every single day for 5 days because my data plan looked good, and I so wanted Definitive Edition. It was so good. So I ended up playing it. Took me approximately 15 hours. I would have done it all in one stream if I make coffee, and I even said that if I make coffee, I could do this all in one stream. And I said, screw it, I'll go ahead and get some sleep. So I played for 13. Well, no, it was 13. It was 13. Played for 13 hours, got some sleep, woke back up, and then did like another 3-hour stream, and in that 3 hours, completed the rest of the game. It was a blast. I absolutely loved it. I can see some people not liking the game because they see a blatant copy and paste of Mafia 3. Yes, it is the Mafia 3 engine, and they just basically reskinned it to the period of Prohibition, but honestly, the weight of the game is, I want to say, more so in the story. I think the story was so good. You gotta understand, this was a game that was originally made in 2002, almost 20 years ago. This game was made. It still holds water to this very day, in my opinion. So after I beat it, I originally had it planned that I was going to be streaming for 5 days, so I said, you know what, screw it, let's just go ahead and do Mafia 1. So I did Mafia 1. The same day I actually finished a 3-hour stream. I was like, man, I didn't really get any sleep, and I was hungry as hell when I did my 13-hour stream. So I still haven't eaten. I immediately woke up to stream, so I needed something to eat. So I decided to end, and then later that night I did stream, and I did Mafia 1, the OG original, and it was, this game entirely is just so much fun. I absolutely love it. So, I mean, going back to Definitive, the graphics, I mean, it's super polished, really good. I mean, I have to say, the intro got me excited. Like, they did it shot for shot. They tried their best to line up exactly how it was in the original. That is something else. Yeah, they used different scenes. Yeah, it was a little bit longer because they had more people working on the project in Definitive than they did back in the old original. So, I mean, to be fair, you know, there was that. So it wasn't necessarily 100% shot for shot, but the exact same tone, the same scenery. I even pointed it out because I actually, after I saw the intro, I was like, guys, I gotta look up the intro of the original, and I played it on stream, and we got to see basically a side-by-side comparison. And wow, they really tried to set it up. The first shot's the lighthouse, and then there was like a boat that ends up being one of the missions later on in the game. And I think it was something like Lost Heaven Queen, I think was the name of the ship. And I was like, oh man, did they even keep the same name? So when I saw the original, they kept the same name. The same name stuck. So, like, everything about it was just so beautifully done. I absolutely loved it. Just on that alone, of them just trying to stay to the source material, was just simply amazing. And I'm a huge fan of Mafia, the entire Mafia series. It's so good. And I fell in love with the original. I've always said the original's the best. And yeah, it still holds water. It's so good. I actually have plans on playing Mafia 2 just for the hell of it. There is a little bit of a connection to Mafia 2. If you know the series, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's kind of spoiler territory. But anyway, and I think new players would absolutely love this game. I even told myself, well, even though my heart just absolutely just adores the old original, it is a tough choice. Like, I love the older original. It has its strong points even to this day, but I will say, I think for new players, they would probably appreciate, I think, Definitive Edition over the original, just because it's more polished. If you're like me and you kind of have to play with a controller, for me, it's because I get carpal tunnel, and even with a controller, I could still get, my carpal tunnel could still flare up, so I kind of have to play with a controller. So, I mean, being able to play Mafia Definitive with a controller, for me, was a huge plus, because now I don't have to worry about my freaking carpal tunnel. So, the old original game did not have controller support, so I even had to put it on in my title that I'm actually using XPadder. So, yeah, I actually had to use a software that binds your keyboard and all that stuff. So, but it was a lot of fun. I absolutely enjoyed it. So yeah, having the controller support for me was a huge plus in Mafia, not having to use any, extra programs, and so that was awesome. The one thing that they did take away from the original was you kind of could like pick up every gun in the original, and you could kind of roll with it. I think there's like the longer guns, the Tommy gun, the pump shotty, like those guns you have to drop. But I think everything else is perfectly fine. Because there is a particular mission with a sniper, I think, even though that's a long barrel, you think you would drop it, because there's a crucial moment in the game that requires you to use a sniper rifle, and, like, ammo is scarce, guns are scarce, all that stuff. There's a moment in the prison, and there's a whole mission. You gotta, like, kill somebody from the prison vantage point, and I remember hating that as a kid, playing the old original, because I didn't have the best TV. So I'm seeing a blurry image, and I'm trying to line up this shot, and if you miss, oh my god, your heart just sank. And plus, if I remember correctly, there's no checkpoints throughout that entire prison, and you have basically like the most, the AI was playing Siege, I swear. They're like camping corners, they're using like one-hit freaking weapons. They're camping with shotguns in the corner that could one-tap you easily. I remember having multiple times, because I played the original immediately after Definitive Edition, to where I ran through that prison, and I remember having full health, and just one hit, bam, dead. So it was a pain. But anyway, so yeah, it was something else. Going back to Definitive Edition, so with Definitive Edition, you can only use, I think, basically like one secondary weapon and like one primary weapon is the way they had it. So where in the original you practically pick up any gun you want and roll with it, in Definitive they made it more realistic. Basically 2 guns, a big gun and a smaller gun is basically what they allowed you to do. It was just a lot of fun. The story was great. It's pretty much exactly the way the original was. They did tweak some things. For example, Sarah, who becomes Tommy Angelo's the character you play as. He runs into this girl called Sarah, and in the original, I didn't even think about it until later, but that's right. You only meet Sarah a few times before her mission, and then you never see her again. So, in the original, you only have her for, like, one mission, and that's it, and you never see her again. There's, like, a few times at Salieri's place, you can see her, like, working behind the counter, so you can, like, talk to her there, but she doesn't really say anything to you. You're just kind of a nobody at the time. But then when you walk her home and do her mission, that's when you only have your interaction, and then after that, it's just small conversations with other characters. So in Definitive Edition, they've made her an actual character to the game, actual scenes and everything like that. I thought that was great. So she became like an actual character to the cast instead of just being there for one scene and that's it. So, like, instead of actually having to talk to other people, like, you could actually, there's an actual cutscene for her, and there's more dialogue and all that stuff. So yeah, needless to say, I think people that played the old original, they might appreciate Definitive Edition for sure. And I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Voice acting. So, the voice acting, I'm kind of split, because, and I gotta be careful with my words, because it might come out wrong. So, the voice acting, and by the way, I'm trying to speed this up the best I can, so don't worry, I'm keeping an eye on the timer. So, the voice acting in Definitive Edition, I felt the quality went up, and by quality, I mean, like, the pacing, the timing, the raw emotion of the actors, top-notch. It was really good. However, though, I felt like the characters that were speaking didn't seem like it wasn't the face it goes to, if that makes any sense. Like, I felt like maybe another voice should have gone to this character. Plus, I just really enjoyed the old original, so seeing the cast and the voice acting in that, like, for me, I absolutely love the guy who did the voice of Tommy Angelo. He was so good. Also, I kind of missed some of the old Tommy Angelo quotes. I mean, they're practically like Max Payne quality quotes. Like, one quote, I think I even tweeted it. It was, "It's better off to be poor and alive than rich and dead, right?" And I absolutely love that quote, because, I mean, there is a lot of weight to that. Being poor and alive, at least you could live. But if you're filthy rich, but, you know, you're gonna be on someone's hit list, you know, it's probably not a life to live. So, anyway, the game with the voice acting is so good, I thought. But I did feel like they did change some of the characters. Plus, another thing that did kind of, it didn't feel right. You're supposed to be in an Italian mafia, so I would think a lot of people would be Italian. So for so many people to not sound Italian, to not have an Italian accent, just kind of seemed wrong. Especially when the mob boss is, yeah.
To be fair, the Italian mafia is actually Sicilian. They're
No.
actually the Sicilian mafia.
Nope. It's Italian. It's Italian.
Sicilian.
The made men are Sicilian. But that no longer is a thing, because there's fewer and fewer Sicilians. so they changed it to where it's now just simply Italian.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I am fully aware of that fact. Back in the old days, yes, you would be right. Yeah, the made men, they were always preferred to be Sicilian. For those that don't know, it's a little island just south of
It's the soccer
Italy.
ball of Italy.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, and so they always refer it to the old country and all that stuff, and yeah, that used to be a thing, but I mean, time has changed, and there's just fewer and fewer, like, born and bred Sicilians these days, so it's now been changed to simply just being Italian. Because otherwise, they would have absolutely no leadership, and, well, there goes the mob, so you gotta keep the ball rolling, so that's the reason why it got defunct. But in Prohibition era, yes, that was a thing. You had to be Sicilian. So seeing that a lot of people didn't have any kind of type of Italian accents, it seemed different that was the case. So it just seemed odd that none of them just had an Italian accent. The guy, Salieri, like, it's an Italian name, so you would think, oh yeah, this guy surely he's like one of the most least Italian guys I think I heard in the entire game. So, and he's supposed to be the mob boss. So, I don't know. That just felt kind of odd. But whatever the case may be, but still, I will say the quality of the voice acting really, really good. And then comparing it to the original, like, I felt like the actors that did the voices were really good, but I felt the quality was down. So, like, I felt like the people that were talking, that's what their character would look like and how they would sound. Like, I thought that was good, but their timing and pacing, they were kind of more monotone. So because of that, like, the quality was down, but at least they got the acting, like, to that face correctly. So, I mean, that's just me just nitpicking, and plus, I just absolutely loved the original guy that did the voice of Tommy. So yeah, that, again, that's just me being a fanboy nitpicking. And yeah, so I could go on all day about this, but we gotta slowly wrap things up here. So yeah, story's good. It's pretty close to the original, small tweaks here and there. I did notice that there was a bunch of missions. Like, I knew exactly what mission I was doing. I vaguely remembered some of the stuff. So that was kind of awesome. And I also played the old original. That was a blast from the past. I did notice that the original music was taken out. I'm guessing because of license issues. There is a mod out there, I think a couple of them, and because of that, I was able to get the music back. I did plan on actually using that particular artist for my Artist of the Week, but I decided to pass because, well, you will see when we cross that bridge. But, yeah, so, needless to say, there's a good chance I might be doing the Mafia artist next podcast. So, yeah, that's going to be entertaining, at least for me anyway. So, yeah, I can't really think of too much else that I could think of that I don't really want to talk about. Oh god, real quick. Sound. Wow. I really love the immersion. The immersion is... I've had old cars before. I remember one of the oldest cars I think that my mom ever had, was a 78 Ford Granada. And it's an old car, and I remember the older cars did a lot of this. I'm sure newer cars are similar, but they're not as bad as, like, the older ones. The older ones, they didn't have, like, any kind of type of cooling systems. It was just raw metal at the time, and because of that, like, when you turn a car on and you left it on for a little bit, and then you turn it off, if you sit around, like, outside the car, and you listen, you would notice there's almost like it's the heat of the metal, like, expanding when it was hot, And then now, because the car is off, it's the metal retracting. So they have like these like popping and crackling sounds. I couldn't help but notice that was in the game. Like, they had that. I remember, and I even stopped myself like, guys, did you hear this? You could hear the popping and cracking of the motor from the car. Like, they went that far with the immersion, and I absolutely thought that was insane. I thought that was incredible. I really love that. I remember older cars doing that a lot. And yeah, I just kind of thought that was pretty cool with that level of immersion. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I can't think of anything else to say. Same characters were in the game. No one's been added. If anything, characters were maybe taken away, or just their missions were done different. The final boss in the original is a freaking bitch, and I even told my friend this. Like, do you remember like when we played that years ago when we were younger? Like, didn't we fight all the way to the end in the original game? It was like, yeah, I remember having that. I don't remember having 6 shots, man. The worst gun in the game, and you have only 6 shots. It's barely enough to get 1 kill. You could possibly get it 4 with a headshot, 2 if you're lucky, and it's just, that was a pain. I hated that final mission. Somehow I got through it, and I even ended up realizing there might be a strat I never thought of. Because at the end, the final boss starts throwing bombs at you, and if you run past a certain part, you might be able to have a whole bunch of AI just kind of take the bomb. There is a Tommy gun on one of them. You could go back real quick, pick it up, reload, and then just wait for the AI to finally come at you. And that's what I ended up discovering, and holy hell, that made things a little bit easier. You might have a whole bunch of health gone, but in the process, yeah. So, in the old original, the final fight in the game, the final boss, it was made to have, like, game mechanics. So, they made it feel like a final boss. So, he's very tanky. He could easily, like, one-tap you. I had only 8 health and somehow still beat the guy, but that was only because I was like siege peeking him, trying to get those crazy ass peaks. And yeah, he's a super tough if you don't know what you're doing. I remember as a kid just being absolutely pissed, but now with like fresh eyes, I was able to do that. So, but yeah, the original felt like an actual boss fight, while in the definitive edition, he was just like no other individual. So, I mean, he was essentially trash mobbed, so it wasn't anything special, sadly. But with that said, they still did a great visual. When you kill the final boss, there's a moment to where you're on the 2nd floor, and his blood is dripping onto money that was supposed to be from a previous robbery. And just seeing that image of literal blood money, I just thought was great. There's a lot of I mean, that was just kind of interesting for me when I was younger, and looking at it, seeing it in better like graphics and everything, I just thought was just really great. But anyway, so yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say. There's probably other stuff I wanted to say too, but I absolutely enjoyed Mafia Definitive. There's still a part of me that still enjoys the old original. There's just something about it. I can't put my finger on it, but my heart and soul is with the original, but I can still appreciate the new. Yeah, so I guess if I were to recommend for new players, I would recommend the newer one, Definitive Edition. But I think if there are people out there that can appreciate older graphics, older style of acting with games and stuff, and just look at it for what it is, I think might actually still enjoy the old original. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I enjoyed it. It was great. Yeah, so awesome. So now let's move over to clips. I actually already have them loaded in, so this is actually kind of perfect. Because Dark said he was kind of speeding things up, I decided that maybe I'll go ahead and just do the one clip that I have. I only have one clip, actually. So, I know it sounds weird, but I only have one clip. It's 3 minutes, and the only reason why I did this is because basically I don't think I could actually clip things off of channels anymore with certain individuals. So I just said, screw it, let's just go ahead and just download this video. So that's what I did for this one here. We're looking at Momo, is her name of her channel. She's a VTuber. I should actually go with this scene here. So, like, yeah, and it's a new channel I kind of discovered. I actually kind of like her channel a little bit. Salt of the Earth. She did a birthday stream recently, and like she doubled her sub count like in the first 10 minutes, excuse me. First 10 minutes, and like her mom was even on her on the phone talking to her because she was just so emotional when it happened. Like, she was in tears, just crying, and her mom was just having to say everything that she wanted to, but she couldn't because she was just so emotional. Then she doubled her sub count at the end of the stream as well, which was also kind of awesome for her. So basically, I just kind of discovered her. So yeah, she's just kind of awesome, and she's been playing with Anthony Kongfan, and so basically she's so nice and so salt of the earth that I think that might play into what we're about to see. So yeah, so here we go. Clip number 1. It's 3 minutes, but it's the only clip I have. Here we go.
I'm so bad at this. Oh my god, oh no! The murder! Alexia!
I just chopped up Lupo, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It just...
No, for real, he had to. If he was right next to Lupo last night.
So it's Momo and Anthony? Yo, hear me out, alright? Hear me out, alright? Me and Lupo were holding hands, y'all. We're about to grab butts and storage, about to get a sexy on, and fucking Lupo tripped, is fucking chopped in half in the storage room. There's a saw and everything. It's fucking crazy. I'm sorry, it was an accident. You can't vote anyone but Lupo right now, but he's dead. So, y'all should skip vote.
Momo, did you witness this?
Are you saying this was an act of passion? Crime of passion?
He slipped on some freaking lubricant oil.
Lube?
That was
Oh,
on
okay.
the floor. We were
He hit his head on the
storage.
cafeteria table. He hit his head on the table, right?
No,
No
he got
crime.
chopped in half, man. It was a fucking
Oh,
freak
shit.
accident.
Momo, can you tell us
Did
what
you
you
see
saw
this?
about this
I
accident?
was walking through. I literally.
You didn't see shit, Momo. He got chopped in half.
Alexia is dead too, by the way. I'm pretty sure it's Anthony Momo.
I'm walking past, and I just see Anthony like giving me this shit-eating grin as he slices Lupo in
Oh
half.
my god.
I didn't
So
slice him in half.
I
You
can
just
confirm,
followed.
Anthony, you and him were next to each other.
You were next to it. You tried to get on this threesome, and I told you no. And then you got jealous, and so you're voting me out. I get it. It's cool, man.
I mean, what are we supposed to do, Anthony?
So according to
You
all
want us to
the
skip vote?
evidence,
You want one more
According to-
crack at it,
I mean,
Anthony?
technically, it was an accident. It was an accident, man.
So
Lupo's got a big
involuntary
dong. He tripped
manslaughter?
over his ding dong, and
Still a
fucking he
murder.
got sliced in half.
I know what you had, but I'm gonna skip. I'll skip. Go ahead, have one more crack at it.
Momo never
Why the hell
laughed
would you
this
skip him?
hard.
That's kind of weird.
No, don't you dare, Anthony.
He's just skipping right here.
Don't you
Only
dare,
grams,
Anthony. I'm being nice to you.
I didn't vote for you.
Yeah.
You can just let it play
Yeah,
out.
look at Grims.
I fucking can't. Oh my god. They're too nice to me. Oh my god.
Oh man. So basically what ended up happening is freaking Anthony took the fall for her, knowing what was about to happen. And the whole time, Dr. Lupo, on his end, he was the guy that got killed. And he was just like, what the fuck is happening? He had no idea.
Oh my god, Among Us is... Oh my god, Among Us streams are so fucking good.
Quality. Fucking quality. That was easily like one of my favorite moments. There's more, but you know, later podcast. But anyway, but yeah, that was definitely interesting. It was so funny. All right, so we have another one here from Dark. So
Yeah, I think these are all from RP, some from GTA RP, and then some from Wild West RP, and some are mine.
All right, here we go.
I thought something was going on. Let's go get Johnny Tapaki car.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think someone has made a grave mistake.
Ooh.
Hello, I need help.
Who's that lady? There's a
I'm
lady
being
here?
sent to jail.
Who is that? Is that Tessa?
Is that Tessa?
I'm so
Tessa?
sorry,
Help!
Tessa!
What the fuck, Tessa?
It's an early FTO lesson. Get to know Bolingbrook.
Brian, you son of a bitch!
What the hell's she done? I knew you'd get caught for drugs.
Tessa?
Hello.
Hi, Tessa.
Someone has made a mistake.
What did you do?
I didn't do nothing, and I ain't talking to no one.
Okay.
Oh,
Well-
these stairs are scuffy.
Wow.
And then the next one's the view of the person who did that.
Oh, nice. By the way, the clip that I actually just played of Momo, I actually do have Anthony's perspective and also Lupo's.
Who you are? What the fuck did you call me, cunt? Who the bloody hell have you been?
Oh my god, sorry. Oh, I just sent Tessa to jail.
Made a grave mistake.
Ooh.
You were 250,
Hello?
not 150,
I need
and I just
help.
sent Tessa to jail.
There's a lady
I'm
here?
being sent to jail.
Who is that? Is that Tessa?
Jesus
I'm
Christ,
so
Brian.
sorry, Tessa!
What the fuck, Tessa?
It's an early FTO lesson. Get to know Bolingbrook.
Brian, you son of a bitch!
What the hell's she done? I knew you'd get caught for drugs eventually. I knew it.
Brian,
I
that's
knew you were a
15
coke dealer.
checkpoint.
Who you are? What the fuck did you call me, cunt?
Good stuff.
I just love your best. Brian, you sent my daughter to jail. Because Tessa's Sam Bass's adopted daughter.
Looks like
this
some
is
RDR2.
this is RDR2. This is from Caliana. She's one of my RP friends.
Nice.
Also now my boss in RP because she runs Silver Security. So
Right.
here's a clip from her.
No, I can make that.
Oh, you can definitely make
Charlie,
that.
Charlie,
100%.
Charlie, you got me right, Charlie. Charlie,
No, you're ending up with
don't
that.
let me, don't let me down,
Oh
Charlie.
god.
Please don't let me down.
Oh god. Oh shit. Oh my god. Go. Go. Charlie, no.
I didn't even hit the fucking bridge, man. No, I can make that.
Oh, you can definitely make
Charlie,
that.
Charlie,
100%.
Charlie, you got me.
Oh man. God, that must really suck when you take a head dive into water. It's like, how can you help the body when it's being dragged all the way down?
No, it's annoying. It's annoying to deal with. This is these two clips are like two cougar instances I've had over the past little couple weeks.
Oh, great. I always
No, they
hated
turn out
animals. Always hated animals in freaking like GTA and RDR. They're always the worst, especially cougars. Alright, let's see it.
Something's angry. Oh. Shit.
That shooting, Ryan.
I got it, don't worry.
So.
Nice shot, Ryan.
Yeah, you gotta learn quick with the animals around here.
No, it's right over there. She ain't far.
Oh Lord.
God, I gotta admit, I love the timing of you just turn and look and you just see this guy on the edge. Perfect silhouette.
Down, yep.
Perfect silhouette on the edge. Oh my god, that is beautiful.
Oh, I got lucky. I didn't even know that cougars had it in their code to be injured to a point where they won't commit to the attack.
Oh.
Like, because I shot him in the back leg, and apparently that was... If that hadn't have made him do the retreat animation, he would have killed me.
Damn.
Yeah, I got lucky. This one is a hell of a shot, too. I don't know why the stream, for some reason, for like a period of like... It happens at like the very end of this. It's like, it's good. And then the quality just... Like, it starts stuttering for like... It was like 30 seconds to a minute, and then it was fine. But just in case, like, it starts stuttering, looks like the clip stuttering at the end. That's because the stream, for some reason, was doing that.
Right. Let's see it.
I heard that.
That's not a bear.
Shit! Get off! Shit. Oh my lord. Are you good?
I am okay. By okay, I mean very bloody, but okay. How the fuck did I miss it?
I have no idea.
I love the little kick at the end.
I heard that.
Oh,
yeah. I put one in its head for good measure. That was... Yeah, that's... Oh god, like that's in the middle of... You're probably familiar with the cougar kill animation. That was like right at the... Like a second later, it would have completed the kill animation and she would have died. I was like... I couldn't believe I made the shot. I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's this is a funny one. I just happened to be watching Callie's stream for this. I'll let the I'll let the clip talk for itself.
Okay.
Because I wasn't entirely sure about the type.
I might have him show up early. Along with shit. Ryan.
Hastings?
Yeah.
Wait, Ryan's? He wants to be...
He was interested. We're gonna take him to the training and see how he does.
Wow.
Why? Is there something there that I should be aware of?
No, he's just always... Racing. Well, he's always struck me as the softer type, but... I don't know, maybe he'll be good at it. And don't forget...
Okay.
Because I wasn't entirely sure about the type.
I might have...
I think that's all the clips.
You fucking watch that. I'm like, wow, fuck you too, Asher. I'm just like, oh. Cause like I wanted, that's about like me wanting to join the security. I'm just like, oh. really? He wants to do that? I'm like, to be fair, I don't think Thatcher's ever learned Ryan's military background. But I was just like, wow. It's one of those things where, man, I would have never seen that if I hadn't been watching the stream right now.
Yeah.
It was great timing on my part to be watching when that happened.
All right. Well, I guess we're actually making great time. So, unless there's any last-minute thoughts before we move on to Artist of the Week, we could actually get this done pretty early, actually.
You mean within the time frame we've always wanted to finish it in? Yes.
Basically.
I would like to add a couple things to Squadrons.
Okay.
Little things. Mostly like little fan kind of fun things was just little interesting things that I picked up on with like Squadrons. I was kind of surprised that there were some things that have been, I guess, made canon now because of Squadrons. Like, I first figured it because it was a skin, the 181st Starfighter wing, which are known as, well, in Legends, they were known as the 180 Worst. But then after Baron Soontir Fel takes charge of the 181st, they then become the most, they go from the 180 Worst to the most elite and best TIE squadron in the Galactic Empire. And so that they're a very prominent group in like Legends Net, and this is the first time in the new Star Wars canon, like the 181st are canonized through that skin, and then later in the campaign, one of your crewmates mentions that that her brother was a part of the 181st, and I was like, oh, that's awesome that they did that. They also canonized that Rogue Squadron's still active after the Battle of Endor, because there's an entire book series for them in Legends, but really in new canon, Rogue Squadron's never mentioned after Episode 5. Like, Wedge is in 6, but he's not leading Rogue Squadron during the Battle of Endor. So it's like, is Rogue Squadron still around? Is Wedge still leading them? Apparently Squadrons has answered that as well. Yeah, a lot of fun things. The cosmetics are all super cool. There's like little lore things inside the cosmetics, even inside some of the descriptions for the different like shields and stuff. Like your different components also have, like, they'll all be from corporations and stuff, like Starfighter corporations and that. Some of the well-known ones, some of the lesser well-known corporations, which is cool. Oh, the one, I loved it because it completely, there were some times where the dialogue was just perfect to how, like, a Star Wars fan who, like, a Star Wars fan would react. It was with your one wingmate with the Rebel Alliance, or I'm sorry, the New Republic, who was Grace Sinar, and she's like, "Oh, introduce yourself, Grace." I can't remember her middle name, Sinar, something, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like out loud. I'm like, hold on a second. You mean the Sinar? And the next voice, I'm like, as if like perfectly timed for my thought to be like, hold on a minute. Sinar, as in Sinar Fleet Systems? Just like, yes, I know. My family's famous for making the TIE fighters. And I'm like, wow. It was one of those moments where I was like, I was asking the question that was being answered by the other person, where it's like, you know, your character doesn't say anything, but it's like, she answered the question I asked. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. It was such a great little fan moment I had there. I was like, I know that. I know that corporation. And that was a fun little moment. There's, oh God, what was the other one? There was one with the one TIE pilot, who constantly wears a helmet, and it was funny. I was just about to say it on. I was like, when you first talk to him, he's saying stuff. He's like, "No, the helmet's not coming off." And it's like, I was just going to ask, does he ever take off the helmet? Like there were moments like that where the dialogue was just great. A lot of little, even in some of the dialogue, like little fan references that like. Some of it's sort of like more mainstream Star Wars, but there was some that like referenced just like, things that are in Star Wars, but not so much like familiar to everyone. Like some games that were referenced that you'd only know from like, I think Pazak's reference, I think that's only ever talked about in like the Knights of the Old Republic series, where you can play that. Like just a lot of little neat like lore things and just fun dialogue, and it's one of the things I really appreciate of the game. The only thing I'm disappointed about in the game is there's no skin to which you can put TIE fighter kill tallies on your Rebel fighters, which is the most classic thing to do. Is paint eyeballs, or as they call it, Imperial fighters eyeballs, because they're the circular cockpit with two wings attached to it. Just paint eyeballs on your fighter. It's the most classic X-wing thing you can do. I was a little disappointed that was not a thing. But then again, I was like, that was my only real complaint about the game, and I was like, that's a pretty small ass complaint. But yeah, I think that's all the last little bit I had to say on Squadrons, at least for right now.
All right. Artist of the week. Who wants to go first?
I guess I can go first. I didn't do Evanescence before, did I?
I don't think so.
I felt like I did, but I went back through the playlist and I didn't see it on there. So I don't think I did.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think you did.
I don't think I did either. Well, no, I thought I did. Anyway, immediately go to I don't think I did, but I had a feeling I did. That doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, I chose Evanescence. They're a what are they classified as? They are classified as click, 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 clickety click. What are they class? I'm trying to find the classification. They're like that doesn't help. Okay, I'm gonna have to look. Hold on. They are a alternate rock, alternate metal. Okay. Or isn't there some other thing that was used for describing their music? I thought there was some term that was used, but I'm not seeing it right now. Yeah, they're it's a, I guess, alternate rock group. Wow, my brain just completely just flat-walled there. Been around since 95, and they recorded their first full-length album in 2003, which personally is I'd say their best album. I love that entire their entire first album. And then there's like some of their other songs that are good. And that I totally didn't see Tricorn's thing. Really nice. The dialogue was the lizard character. Oh yeah, Frisk. Frisk was great. Yeah. Talking about his backstory and how he got it at Imperial. And Death Star said he got it after selling a fake painting to Imperial that immediately reminded me of Grand Admiral Thrawn. Actually, in that, I'll digress from Evanescence for a second. He does actually say, it's like, sold it to an Imperial. It's like, he said, how was I supposed to know that they give it to Grand Admiral Thrawn? Like, was actually mentioned. Where, yeah, Thrawn's actually mentioned in that dialogue as being the person who identified the painting as a fake, which I loved that little reference. That was a great reference. Anyway, I don't really have a lot to say, except I guess one fun fact is that when Evanescence first was like going to like be a band and that and like get published, there was one stipulation that so the lead singer's a woman, but I guess it was back when the record group was like telling them they needed a male, like a second, like a second like male singer, or else they weren't going to something like shit, my brain just is blanking. Like basically they told him you need like a male lead vocalist as well, and I can't remember her name, who's the lead vocalist of Evanescence, but she was like, no, we're doing this, like I'm doing this, you're not gonna take this away from me. And eventually the compromise was that one of their songs, which is Bring Me to Life, would be the one compromise where there'd be a male vocalist in there, which is why it's the only Evanescence song with a male vocalist, because that was like the compromise of like, it was either do the whole album or like, eventually she brought it down to one song, which is kind of ironic. That's like the one song that is like, it's their most popular song, but it's also like the song that the vocalist dislikes the most, because that was the song she was forced to compromise on, because they didn't think that they thought that the group needed a male lead instead of her. So that's sort of what that's really all I have to say.
Yeah, I thought they were fine for what they were. Not really my cup of tea, but I mean, it was fine. No real song really stuck out at me, but yeah, it was good. I liked it. For me, I decided to talk about a particular individual that I think this really isn't about how good someone's music is. This is really more about a story that I think needs to be told. A lot of people are forgotten in history, and this one I feel is someone that needs to be remembered. So basically I discovered this artist around the time when I started streaming, and his story is just incredible. So at the age of 5, his parents bought him his first guitar. He only knew a few chords, and at the age of 11, he was already doing Bob Dylan songs. At the age of 15, 14, he was actually in a high school talent show, and audiences, people in the audience described the the play style as just jaw-dropping. Just the reaction is because he was doing like Jimi Hendrix like guitar playing, and he even did the signature of picking the guitar strings by only using his teeth, a classic Jimi Hendrix trademark, what he does in his performances. And so basically around the same time there was a article about who are the 10 greatest guitarists not signed to a record deal, and the people behind it was Sharpenel? I think it was Sharpenel. Sharpenel Records, and they basically were looking for just new guitarists that weren't signed. Jason Becker, he decided to basically do like a whole bunch of demo tapes, and he even did his own artwork for the demo tapes instead of just putting in blank inserts. He felt by doing some artwork, his would stand out even further. Sharpenel Records, they had their own young talent as well. One of them was actually Marty Friedman. You may know Marty Friedman from Megadeth, but he was unsigned at the time because he was just starting out. By the way, for anyone that is interested in Megadeth, do look them up. They're a great, great metal band. I absolutely enjoy them. Anyway, so Marty, he wasn't even interested in hearing what was having to be said about, because he was working on his new album and his own solo album, and he composed everything. He had everything set up the way he wanted. He just was kind of in the process of just kind of slowly working on that. And an executive at the record label decided, I think you should probably look into this guitarist. He had no interest in looking at some new guitarist unsigned, and he just didn't want anything to do with it. But against his better judgment, he ended up listening to it. And he listened to one of Jason's demo tapes. He was floored by what he was listening to. He was so impressed. He went to go see Jason in person. These two hit it off really, really well. They were close friends. They could be seen in the backyard at Jason's house, just playing music and just really like working on different guitar solos, different songs. And at one point, and this is according to Marty Friedman, I would work really hard on this new song I had, and Jason, he would just listen to it a few times of what I had, and he would do it way better than what I was able to do. I was sloppy in comparison. That's what Marty felt about his talent. But there was still one problem. He was in high school and he needed to graduate. Jason's father took Jason to see the principal, and they said, well, I want my son to finish high school, but he has his sights set on doing a music career, and I don't want to get in the way of that. So, and he's talking with record labels. Is there any way that you could possibly let him out early? The principal only had one objection. If he gets good grades, I'll highly consider it. Needless to say, Jason got straight A's. Everything looked like it was on the up and up. Him and Marty Friedman started doing their own tours together, small gigs on the West Coast. I believe they even, at one point, traveled to Japan at one point, doing shows there. Looked like everything was really on the up and up. And then a former frontman for Van Halen, David Lee Roth, he was working on a new album at the time. it was a little ain't enough. Needless to say, this was the worst album that ever came out. I mean, it went off to be a box office turd. It was the worst piece... Oh, okay, well, it wasn't that bad. It was just... Music was changing, and things were just kind of happening musically. The Seattle grunge scene was kind of in its infancy. It was slowly picking up at the time, and it was gaining a lot of popularity. So it was the early 90s, so music was just changing. Heavy metal was just kind of on the way out. It just looked like a sinking ship at the time. And it was just really just bad timing. But he was working on that album, and he was out of guitarist. He needed someone to fill that spot. Jason Becker was a kid from out of nowhere that, you know, they started hearing about this young prodigy out of Richmond, California, and they were like, we should probably get this kid. And Jason Becker, he got the call. He was swore to secrecy. He was told, this is so big, you can't even tell your parents. His parents he would check in with his parents every so often, and they would ask him, so what new project are you working on? His only reply was, I can't tell you. It's a secret. He then started working on the project, and everything was just looking very well, but his body was kind of changing. Sadly, this wasn't adolescence. What ended up happening was very, very severe. One day when he was walking with his friends, him and his friends were just walking, minding their own business. One of his friends noticed something was off. Jason was missing. They turned and they saw Jason on the ground, and it appeared he kind of tripped, and that was that. So, but normally people don't trip like that, so when word got back to his parents, his mom actually thought, well, it's because of those tight jeans you always wear. Skinny jeans probably was the fashion at the time, but no, it wasn't the skinny jeans. He ended up seeing a doctor, and he was advised to use a cane. As he did so, he still continued on writing or playing guitar for David Lee Roth's new album at the time. And he ended up getting essentially the biggest news he ever got. And this is Jason Becker today. He would become a vegetable. He ended up with ALS, and basically he would lose every muscle in his body, every movement. It would even become difficult to even swallow. In the process, he would slowly have organs slowly fail, and with that, the inevitable. But he didn't understood the weight of the situation. When he told his father felt like it was a stab in the heart. His only reply was to his doctors, does that mean I could tour? Probably not the sharpest marble in the shed. He still continued on making the album. And so the condition was just getting worse. And so as he was doing so, they were slowly finishing up the album, and he actually got invited to see David Lee Roth. It was supposed to be like a welcoming party to kind of see him and kind of just like welcome him into the band. And what ended up happening was, because I think his mom was there and Jason was there, they both knew about his condition, and he was still in a walking cane at the time. and he was completely unaware, oblivious to what was happening. In a private conversation, Jason did have to break the news to David because they were planning on doing a tour to do the new album, but obviously with this, he cannot continue. So, as bad as it looked, they still finished up the album, and at one point, a friend of Jason's actually went to go see him, and he just couldn't fathom what was going on. He even told Jason, like, dude, just like a few months ago, you were in the recording studio, you were playing guitar, it seemed like everything was good. So Jason just couldn't put into words what was going on. So his friend just kind of gave him a guitar. Why don't you play me a couple of notes? He couldn't even play a few simple notes. What was going on was even more serious than what was originally thought. The problem started roughly at the start of the album, and he was in a walking cane for most of the time. Before the album was fully released in stores, he was already in a wheelchair. And seeing the progression of what was going on, he then decided, I need to fight this. So he was doing acupuncture. I'm sure he was on like special diets. Nothing worked. ALS was just taking over his body. And being this guy, he would, before all of this happened, he would fall asleep with a guitar. He would wake up and play guitar. He surpassed what his parents were capable of. His father and his uncle were kind of like amateur guitarists on the side. And with his father, he only knew like a few notes. But his uncle was kind of more like into like music. He always wanted to play music all the time. And as a matter of fact, he would actually even go to Jason when he was young and say, hey, you want to play some music? And they would just, all day, they would just hang out and just play music. When he was capable of driving, he actually got a little guitar. So that way, when he got to a red light, he could practice. Like, that was Jason. And now, with his condition, he couldn't even pick up a guitar. And around this time, he did came across a woman by the name of Sarana. Sarana. And Sarana, she was a massage therapist. And according to her, he became more than just another client. She never left his side. With the weight of the whole situation, Jason then decided, I have to do this. I need to make one more album, because the progression of everything is just slowly taking over. I have to fight this. So he ends up going on to basically, he wants to make one more album before he is completely incapable of, well, he was already incapable as it was, but they were very fearful that maybe, he might die. So they really wanted to, even his father was kind of, he would get angry because he needed people to show up on specific days. So he was like helping out with the scheduling, and he would slam his fist on the table. We got to get this done. So even his family was even emotional over it. Jason, even though he couldn't play any songs, he still composed everything that he can from his wheelchair. And he worked on the album, and it was called Perspective. That album was in 1996. And there was even rumors that Jason even died. Jason Becker is still alive to this very day. He still makes albums. There's even an album to where he took like old recordings that he did, when he was just a young teenager, and it was just like, there's a good chance that some of those was probably like his demo tapes that he sent to that one record label. And now some of those are kind of like relived in some of his works. There's a documentary that was released in 2017 called Jason Becker, I'm Not Dead Yet. I highly, highly recommend, I implore everyone to actually look up that particular documentary. It's really, really good. But yeah, I just heard this guy's story and I was like, I gotta do this. Like, I just thought his story was incredible. I thought his music, it really isn't about how good it is. I mean, just that story of determination, where if, you know, being forced into a wheelchair because he can't, you know, because of Lou Gehrig's disease, he still continued on. And that type of determination is what I like. I like stories like this. So when I heard about it, I was like, I gotta tell this story. I actually kind of forgot about it a little bit, because I remember the documentary, which is where I first heard of this guy, and I just thought it was so amazing, and I was like, I want to tell this. Now, normally I don't tell I don't usually do an Artist of the Week for their stories, but I felt this one was needed. But yeah, so normally I say, hey, Dark, what do you think? But honestly, because of time restraints and everything else, I think I'll put it in Dark's hands. Like, Dark, if you want to talk about like what's coming up on your stream, understandable. But if you want to say what your thoughts about Jason Becker, ball's in your court.
I don't know what to say after that.
I know, which is why I wanted to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is a first, because, I mean, if you're a conspiracy theorist, I did go with, what is it? I did go with Bandmate twice, but this is something different. This is just something completely different, and his story I felt was just incredible. So, yeah. I highly recommend just looking him up, just simply for the ride that this man took, and I think he was only something like 25, I think, when he was diagnosed, and he's still here to this day. He basically, his parents actually created like an eye chart for him, so that's actually how he's able to communicate. And it's one of the last things like he has. Without that, he has like no communication to the outside, and yeah, it's just, I don't want this guy to be forgotten in history, and I think a lot of people could take a little bit of something from him. There are actually like charity events for his like conditions, because obviously here in the US we still have to pay for freaking hospital visits and all that stuff, so with him, he kind of has to kind of pay for his doctor bills, so to speak, to kind of keep him alive. So, but he has a very tight-knit family. His sense of humor, this is the one last thing before I pass it on to Dark. His sense of humor never changed. Apparently, there is a small story I heard to where there was a doctor that did like ALS. He like specializes in people with that condition, so he like went to go see Jason Becker, and he said, man, your skin tone is really good. You almost never see it on patients. So is it like your diet or something? And his father, he said, well, it's essentially his girlfriend, but they were together at one point or another. They kind of broke up, but she never left. Like, she still gives him like tube feeding and stuff like that. Like, she's basically like the one that just kind of keeps him alive. And even he himself had said with his eye movements that it is all because of her. And so, like, his father said, yeah, it's because of Serana. And Jason Becker, this motherfucker, he says, oh, really? I thought it was because of your left nut. So, I mean, you know, you gotta have a sense of humor, and, you know, he probably couldn't say it out loud, but he said it with his eye movements, and that's just kind of hilarious, I just thought. So, but yeah, that's Jason Becker. So
yeah, that's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing.
So, going on your channel there.
So my channel. Well, once we're done with this, I am going to be doing Wild West RP. We're doing our first thing of security for horse race that's going on. I completely forgot to queue up, but thankfully, for some reason, this is the one night where the server of the horse race is happening in isn't completely full, which I am kind of worried about. Because I don't know that means how many people are actually going to show up to it. But yeah, once this is done, I'll be loading up my stream. And we'll be headed off to, you know, stand around and make sure people don't kill each other.
As for me, I am going to be playing a little bit of Remnant. Not planning on going on for too long, but just kind of just hang out, do whatever. Just play a little bit of Remnant. And yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing today. I'll do it right after the podcast here. As usual, the stream will go down, but it will come back up just like a minute or two. It's just long enough so that way YouTube could identify that it's a separate video and not just like, you know, actual internet issues or what have you. So stream's gonna go down, but it'll come back up. There'll be some music playing, and yeah, we'll fire up some Remnant, have some fun. Kind of going through the DLC again because I completed the game. Well, actually, I completed the DLC first, then went back and did the main campaign because that final boss was just way too hard for me. So I basically needed Swarm. Once I did that, it was easy. So I just needed my Swarm. And yeah, so now I'm going back and doing the DLC. I believe I'm on hard difficulty this time, running it solo. So having a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing that today. Tomorrow, I'm deciding between either start Mafia 2 or possibly do Yakuza 0. I'm kind of torn on it. I kind of want to do Mafia 2, but it's also been a while since I did Yakuza 0, so I'll see how I feel tomorrow. I'll debate on what I'm going to do there, but yeah. So that's kind of it for me. So any last minute thoughts or stuff you want to say before we head out here?
Not really.
All right. Okay, yeah. So we'll go ahead and see you guys in 2 weeks on the 17th of October, and yeah, I think that's pretty much a stream today. Kind of wish I said a little bit more about Mafia 1, but who cares?
There's always next time.
There is always next time. So yeah, anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with us. Thank you, Tricone. I saw you in chat there. Lucky as well. And yeah, so hopefully we'll see you guys on the 17th. We're out.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.